And we are live for a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Wimtraub. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, let's jump right in because we have plenty to talk about this week. Usual format with a few Tesla news to start with. Then we're going to go into the rest of the industry and then take your question at the end or discuss whatever subjects you guys are into this week. So put that in the comment section and we're going to get to it. We're going to start with an exclusive that we had yesterday that going to lead to other things, but we're going to start with this one because this is what I can confirm for now. It's There's going to be a pretty significant revamping of the referral program from Tesla, and we're talking here about literally the changing it from inside out. The referral link will be dead, so you won't see owners spamming their links anymore. That's not going to be how you're going to get referral these days.
Spamming.
Some
Come
people
on.
do. Some people.
We're subtle.
Here's the thing. So sources that are very familiar of the matter were briefed on this change here, which is not ready to launch, but it should be pretty imminent. But they were given some reason behind the change. They did mention that Tesla spent $23 million on free supercharging alone last quarter, and that was sort of presented as a reason to start the revamping of the program. Now that doesn't sound like much, 23 million on 10 billions of revenue, and this basically being most of what Tesla spent on marketing during that quarter is those free supercharger miles with the referral program. But I think it's still a decent amount for just a quarter, and I think the problem is more for Tesla that like everyone now that's buying a Tesla is getting those thousands free miles because you just have to use the link. So even people that are not necessarily being referred, they will just find someone to get their link from, whether online or in their network, someone that has a Tesla. So, and I mean, it's sort also of an open secret that you can just ask your Tesla advisor and they will help you find a referral code, really. So it's not a perfect situation right now, and Tesla is trying to remedy it. But and it's not the first time that they revamped the program here, but this is going to be the most significant one for sure, because it changes the whole way to give someone a referral or to get one. And it's going to come with something a little bit bigger, which is going to be a pretty big update on Tesla's mobile app. That's where things get a little bit murkier here, but I know sources tell me that there's obviously going to be a big update to the app that's going to involve a lot more features for non-Tesla owners. So Tesla is sort of trying to get people into its ecosystem, even if they don't have an actual Tesla product, meaning a physical product like a Powerwall or solar system or a vehicle. And the referral program update is going to be linked to that, in the sense that you're going to be able to get a non-Tesla owner to download the app and link your Tesla account to their app for referral if you want to give them a test drive or something like that. But it's going to be an in-person to person thing. And then if they do end up buying a car, your account is going to be linked to them, to the app, and you're going to get your referral through that. Now, what kind of prices are they going to change the prices and something like that? I do hope so, because the threshold to get the referral is going to be much higher. So I hope it's going to be more than 1,000 free miles here.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty big deal. This could mean a lot of things. Like for instance, we could start to see some of the Tesla network coming into effect. So Tesla's promised in the future that you'd be able to lend out your car. That they're talking autonomously, but theoretically you could lend out your car not autonomously. Just give somebody with access to your car. You could let them borrow it, and
you can do that online through their Tesla account now. Though that has been a feature that was introduced like last year.
Yeah, but you can now like charge people for that, or you could you could do all kinds of interesting possibilities there, and then. There's a lot of things that if you want to communicate between the app in the car, you could like give people access to, you know, your car, and you know, like your kids could say, "Hey, mom, I'm," you know, and could come up on the screen or something. There's just so many opportunities for Tesla to do stuff here.
Yeah, and it sounds like what they're doing. I'm not going as far as saying like it's gonna be like you kind of described a little bit of what the features that we're expecting in the Tesla network that they've been talking about for a few years. And Elon has said in the past that they're gonna be willing to introduce that Tesla network, the kind of ride sharing feature within the app, before achieving full self driving. So, but this could be part of it because it's definitely it's a non-Tesla owner feature for sure, because you don't own a Tesla vehicle and now you can get access to one through the app. But yeah, it's certainly in the same vein. But I'm hearing a lot of those features here that could be in this big update. I don't know if they're going to be all at the same time or it's going to be gradual, but it's going to be something big. I'm even hearing a few things about charging here, like opening up charging through this app. So something to keep an eye on. If you guys know anything about it, you can send me an email. I'm trying to confirm things right now. So if anyone has more details about that, you can reach out. But this is going to be a big deal. One of the other reasons they are revamping the referral program and making it really pretty much harder to get a referral is because they don't have a demand problem right now. It's another exclusive that we had the other day. Tesla, people briefed on matter by Tesla. Tesla basically told some employees that the production capacity for the whole quarter has been sold out. Now there are still cars and inventory and everything like that, but everything that they can produce this quarter is already spoken for. You can still, there's still some timelines within the new orders that shows like sort of within the quarter, but those are Tesla is always doing that a little bit because they know that some people won't be able to pick up their cars in time during the end of the quarter, even though they already ordered a car. So they always take a few more orders than they can in order to make sure that most, if not all, of the production capacity until the very end of the quarter can be delivered. Much like airlines, they sold more tickets than there are seats in the plane because they know some people will miss it. In this case, it's not like they're gonna miss the car early, but they know that they won't be able to take delivery for whatever reason, a trade-in, a financing, an insurance reason, or just they're not available to take the car at the very end of the quarter. So there's that. But still, I mean, it's impressive that it was announced an employee as in like, oh, this is we're seeing extremely strong demand right now. And yeah, a month and a week into the quarter, and Tesla is sold out. So this is quite impressive. Again, sold out, I'm putting that in parentheses. Like some people will have issues with using the word sold out for that, but it's pretty much what it is, really. So what Elon said during the call last week that they are seeing a real shift in consumer perception for electric vehicle, and our demand is the best we've ever seen. He wasn't lying. Apparently, this is we got some confirmation from solid data on that. And another sign that they don't have any problem with demand is the prices are going up again. So last night, overnight, Tesla did a few price changes, and it's just, I mean, it's been every other week for the last 2 months, basically. And I'm not even exaggerating here. But they've been really gradual. So it's raising some question for people of the reason behind the price changes. But first of all, let's just go through them real quick. Model 3 Standard Range Plus went from $39,000 to $39,500. The long range all-wheel drive went from $48,000 for $48,500. Model Y went from the long range all-wheel drive went from $51,000 to $51,500. Performance version, both for the Model 3 and Model Y, stay the same, respectively, $57,000 and $61,000. Doesn't sound like much, of course, but when you look at what happened in the last few weeks, literally in the last 2 months, the cheapest Tesla vehicle, the Model 3 Standard Range Plus, went from $37,000 to $39,500, a $2,500 increase. So this is kind of significant now. So there could be a bunch of reasons for it. We just mentioned one. They can afford to do it because the demand is there. A lot of people have been discussing higher costs, and Tesla did discuss last conference call that they had supply chain issues that the cost has risen because of it. So, well, their Tesla's cost necessarily the price. So maybe Tesla is passing some of those costs to the customers. Or the big theory that we've been pushing for a while too is that Tesla might be slowly preparing us for slowly increasing the price instead of a big price bump that could be associated with because this is the U.S. prices, of course. This is not global prices. Global prices are being adjusted too, but not as much as the U.S. prices right now. And it could be linked to the Tesla buyers having back access to federal incentive for electric vehicles. And since Tesla reduced the price when they took away the incentive for them 2 years ago, it would be somewhat fair for Tesla to increase the price back if they have incentive, so that to pass on some of the incentive to the consumer and some to Tesla's bottom line, so that they can reinvest into higher volume production of those vehicles. So it's a win-win situation. But it's just a theory at this point. Like, we kind of know that it's coming. It's just the execution of it is so up in the air because it's the government, really.
Right. And so I remember a few years ago when Tesla started these kind of wild swings on their prices, we were like, whoa, slow down. Like, if you're going to raise the price, raise it gradually. Don't raise it like, $5,000 at a time, which they were doing. They were changing the prices of like the Model X Performance by like huge chunks, like right away, which, obviously there's a funny story about that. But this is, I guess we're getting what we asked for, really, like $500 at a time every, couple weeks. It seems like we're kind of getting what we asked for. Now,
what's the reason behind it? That's the problem.
Right. We don't know the reason behind it. And, obviously there's a chip shortage thing, which, may not directly affect Tesla, but it's affecting everybody everywhere. Tesla may think it's got a federal tax credit coming. So it's, trying to get to a higher price point so it can get a fatter margin. It could be anything. Maybe just, maybe, the demand being so high, like they can afford to go up a little bit. Like they have a whole quarter's cars sold out. Then they're not trying to build demand right now. They're trying to kind of ease it back a little bit. So I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing that what they're doing.
Yeah. At the same time, it is surprising too, because that they could afford to increase the price based on the demand being higher, because with that new EV rebate being up in the air, if it's not retroactive, there's a lot of people are going to be quite pissed about that, I think. Because like people that are buying electric cars right now, especially from Tesla and GM, knowing that this EV rebate is coming. Now, to be fair, I think that the proposal that is leading right now is a retroactive one for the year, but at the same time, that's kind of like you are incentivizing people to buy electric cars that they already bought, which is kind of counterintuitive. But at the same time, you don't want that EV rebate being up in the air and slowing down EV sales in the between. So I think they should really go with the retrofit and just. But make that clear so that people right now are not just taking chances on buying electric cars, especially from Tesla and GM, but that they are actually like doing it knowing that whatever ends up being the new EV rebate, they're gonna get it. Not even if it's like $10,000 one, even if it's the $7,000 one, but that they're actually not gonna lose money on pulling the trigger earlier in the year than however fast the Congress wants to work. Do we have any news on that? Like I've been checking every week. There's no news on when the infrastructure bill is gonna move forward.
I haven't heard anything. I'm hearing a lot of state stuff, but that's always happening.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of those. But yeah, new Tesla prices. Now the cheapest Tesla is not as cheap anymore. But then if you slap a $10,000 tax credit on this, or even they're talking about a direct rebate, then it becomes super cheap. All right, it was the story this week, and I have to credit Mark Harris for that, the very, very good journalist. I think he's freelance, but this report came out of TechCrunch, and he spotted a patent that Tesla acquired for $3, which kind of a weird price to acquire a technology on. And the technology in question sounds exactly what Elon and Drew Baglino described during the battery day last year regarding the cathode process, how to build a cathode that doesn't have as much wastewater and byproduct through the process. So they basically developed a technology in the patent that they just acquired that can recycle the water. And this is the slide that Tesla used to demonstrate it. This is the regular cathode. So a bunch of stuff happened in cathode production. Well, actually, raw materials involve a lot of water too, and a bunch of stuff that includes also a lot of water. And then at the end, you get a little bit of cathode and a lot of wastewater in byproduct. And then Tesla posted this one. This is their method that, again, looks like now they have acquired that method through a patent purchase. They get a lot less stuff happen and no wastewater because they reuse it. And so this $3 patent was acquired from Spring Power. So the real story here is that Tesla, it looks very likely, almost confirmed, though we cannot 100% say it, that Tesla acquired Spring Power International, which is a small Canadian company that has been developing this cathode process. Really, they've been really like laser focused on that, and that would explain why the patent was transferred for just $3. And after Mark posted that, I did my own research and ended up finding 2 Spring Power employees that switched from Spring Power to Tesla. They now list their job at Tesla, and coincidentally, that was in September 2020, which is also when Tesla held the battery day. So I think it's extremely likely that Tesla ended up acquiring Spring Power. Which then leads me to my next story, and this is a stretch. This is we're gonna talk about it, but I mean it's a stretch. I did like that comment. So this Bobcat project. So Gigafactory Texas. I mean, we know Tesla is building a giant factory there, a giant battery factory. They're gonna produce a Model Y, then they're gonna produce a Cybertruck, then they're gonna produce a Tesla Semi, and apparently the Roadster even. So a giant project here that's moving along fast. But look at that project; it's pretty big. But this is actually just a fraction of Tesla's land that they acquired for the project. Tesla actually owns all of that here, a bunch of things on the other side too. Actually, I have that here. So in green here, this is all of Tesla's land. So massive piece of land. Orange is where they're building the main factory here, the Gigafactory Texas that we see right here. Now they had a new filing with the city of Austin about a new project. So the Gigafactory project was called the Colorado River Project. This new project is called the Bobcat Project, and Tesla doesn't go in details on what they're going to do with that project, but it's basically they are seeking approval for another facility that can be as much as 97 acres. And in the latest drone video, we can see here on the map, this is the blue dot right there. Tesla is clearing, looking like they're doing some groundwork on another decent sized pad to build something else. So people are speculating that's where the project is going to be, but in the filing, it's not clear. It's going to be on Tesla's land in this block of land here, but we don't know exactly where. But this is a very likely location based on the groundwork right now. Okay, now here where it links back to the Spring Power thing, and this is a giant leap, but I thought it was funny, so I'm going to include it. I'm going to credit here our Electrek commenter, Brian Bam. He says the site is going to be, they will make the cathode. They just bought the company Spring Power for their cathode tag. Spring plus bobbing equal Bobcat. So since the cat, what do you look at? So because of that, the bobbing and the cat is Bobcat Project Bobcat. It is a big stretch, of course, but it's not impossible. Bobcat, cathode. I don't know.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? It would be. I mean, they're gonna need a big facility to do that cathode technology. So it kind of makes sense at the same time. And there's gonna be a lot of things. Yeah.
They're making good progress on the Tesla Gigafactory there.
Yeah, the construction is going pretty fast. I mean, it would be interesting. Maybe they could even beat Berlin. It would be kind of crazy, but
That might be a little bit of an embarrassment to the German government, because obviously
mm,
there's a lot more red tape there than in Texas.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I'm sure there was probably even less than in Shanghai than in Texas. So,
Oh, probably. Nope, wrong post, wrong post. The Our next article is about the something that happened this morning. The kind of the press went kind of crazy about, and I mean, it's almost exactly what happened a month and a half ago. I don't know if you remember when PlanSide, which a lot of people are like blaming PlanSide for this, but I'm like, yeah, they had plenty of things you can blame PlanSide on. This one, not so much. PlanSide, for the people who don't know, I don't remember the name of the guy right now, but the guy is suing Elon Musk for libel.
Bible.
Libel. He's a known Tesla detractor and everything, but his site is not solely about Tesla. His site is more, they specialize in freedom of press request, and they make a document public through that, which is a nice service, really. So you can not like the guy, and he can like the service that he provides. But of course, because of his interest in Tesla or bad things about Tesla, he produces a lot of content about Tesla. And the press this week, or I mean a month and a half ago, they picked on Tesla writing in the email to DMV that so they were sort of saying that city driving in the full self-driving beta is always going to be level 2, which a lot of the press took that as Tesla lying about ever going to achieve level 5. But they were, in this case, very specifically talking about the city street feature on the FSD beta, which doesn't mean that Tesla cannot just release a different package, or not a different package, but different features within the FSD package that does have level 5 full self-driving. So it was an overblown thing. Now they did the exact same thing, basically, because PlanSide got their hands on another important memo, which is really notes from the DNV from a meeting that they had with Tesla last month with a bunch of Tesla Autopilot engineer. But the comment that caught people's attention is, and again, this is not word for word what Tesla said. This is a DMV summarizing basically what Tesla said during the meeting. And the DAV asked CJ Moore, who's the director of Autopilot software, to address from an engineering perspective Elon's messaging about level 5 capability by the end of the year. So they basically asked the engineer in charge of Autopilot software, what do you think about Elon saying that you guys are going to achieve level 5 autonomy by the end of the year? Which, I mean, it has been kind of a running gag for a long time with Elon's timeline, and like everyone like pictures the engineers just hearing the timeline for the first time from Elon's Twitter and being like, "What? We have to deliver that now? We have to do that by the end of the year? Seriously?" So this is kind of a real scenario of that, because now they were asked by the DMV, which is of course an important authority on autonomous driving, especially in California. So here was the DMV wrote. DMV wrote from summarizing what CJ said to them. Tesla is at level 2 currently. The ratio of driver interaction would need to be in the magnitude of 1 or 2 million miles per driver interaction to move into higher level of automation. Tesla indicated that Elon is extrapolating on the rates of improvement when speaking about level 5 capabilities. Tesla couldn't say if the rate of improvement will make it to level 5 by the end of calendar year. So the media ran with it with like, oh, Tesla is telling the DMV that they don't know actually if they can deliver that, and that's true. Tesla doesn't know. Elon Musk doesn't know either. I mean, that's proven by the fact of him mentioning that timeline before in shorter timeline back in 2018 and something like that, and missing those timelines. So these are guesses, people. So let's take them for what they are. You have to take them with a grain of salt. But what we see here basically is Tesla being a lot more cautious when talking about full self-driving timelines with regulators than they are with the public, than Elon is with the public, let's say. Which is not really surprising. It's kind of obvious. Doesn't mean that Elon is trying to fool you, is trying to defraud you, or anything like that. It's just that the guy has extremely aggressive timelines, and he often miss them, or Tesla miss them. He cannot deliver on them. And full self-driving has certainly been a good example of that. But now he's been sticking to that end of the year timeline a lot, with now being we're getting close to being halfway through the year, so it's going to be interesting to see where it turns out. So we're about halfway through the show right now, and you guys, if you guys have questions for later on at the end of the show, you can put them in the comment section right now. Seth, do you want to jump in on the fluid here?
Yeah, they added a couple of L's in there, so it makes it a little bit hard to say. But it's the fuel fluid commuter
fluid.
ultimate. Is it the ultimate commuter e-bike? Well, thank you to Fuel for sponsoring this Electrek this week. And we have a post up if you go to Electrek right now. If you're watching us live, it's at the top, but it'll be on the homepage probably all weekend. So this is a fantastic e-bike. It's designed by legendary Harley designer Eric Buell, and that's why the UELL. Who obviously has a background with gasoline motors, but he's formed this new company called Fuel. They have an electric bike, and they have an electric motorcycle coming out, and we've seen some patent designs of like something in between. Anyway, the only thing that they have on sale right now is the bike, which is phenomenal. I've ridden it around New York City. It's like the smoothest bike that you've ever seen. It's got two 500 watt hour batteries, which gives you absurd range, like 180 miles. More than like some cars. And that's with pedal assist. If you go heavy duty speed, you might get 50 or 80 miles, but still tons of range, and it's a super smooth bike, front suspension, everything else. I can definitely recommend it. It's a little pricey at $5,000, but it's got just like every possible extra. Feature. Yeah, and all the components are super high end as well. This thing will last forever. It's a great bike. So go check them out, and thanks for sponsoring Electrek.
Yes, thank you. Just want to mention something. What helmet is Micah using in that video?
He's like, it looks a little big.
No, not just that. It looks like there's a visor on it. Is it?
I don't know. It might be part of his camera equipment or something.
I don't know. It looks like he has a visor on that helmet. And I've never seen Micah wear that before. But it's good that he's wearing an helmet, people. Yes. Those bikes get to quite a high speed, really, if you use the pedal assist at the same time, too. All right. Big story this week with the Chevy Bolt. Just as they started to implement or announce the fix for the problem that they had with the batteries catching on fire, there was another fire, which was on a vehicle that Electrek contributor Sean Graham discussed with the owner what happened in this incident here with the car catching on fire. And the car did receive that fix, the temporary fix, we should say, not the final one, but the one that basically limited your charge, your state of charge to, what was it, 80% or?
No, it was like 95%. It was
95%.
It was a pretty high state of charge.
Okay, 95%. But and the car wasn't charging at the moment at the time of the incident when he caught on fire.
Wasn't even plugged in.
Hadn't been driven all day, and the owner was already, because it's his second vehicle and was just using it for around town. He wasn't even charging it to 100%. Never. He was always charging it to like 75%. Yeah, and that's exactly what he did that day. He stopped the charging at 75%, and later on, it did catch on fire anyway.
Yeah, Sean did a great job. He figured out from like some of the fire department views the address, and then he figured out from the address who lived there, and then he made a few calls and got the guy on the phone, and the guy was happy to talk about it. He was obviously pretty shaken up by the incident. He has a family in the house, and it was quite scary, and his wife was trying to put out the fire with the fire hydrant, and he was getting his kids and parents or something out of the house. So Um, it's obviously a traumatic experience, but it's even, on the wider scale, it's like, how do we trust Chevrolet when they said, as long as you don't charge to 100, or as long as you charge to 95%, you'll be fine. This guy even had the first fix applied, so he wasn't able to charge to 100% even if he wanted to. So we did find out through GM something that wasn't really, if it was made public, it was like nobody really, put it out there. But 4 of the 6 previous fires were in cars that had charged to empty, empty to full, unloaded to empty, then to full. So that charging profile seems to be a bigger problem than the 100% charge. So, GM's final fix, which is a software update that you have to go to the dealer for, that will kind of check the batteries even after you turn off the car. And, if anything weird is going on with the batteries, it'll, turn things off and tell you to go to a dealership. I mean, like, I hope I can trust that stuff, but, it's a little bit kind of weird that they told everybody just to not charge to full and you'd be fine. But really, that wasn't really the case. Like, this guy's house burned down, and it could have been, obviously it could have been much, much worse if it happened in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. So it's an ongoing story. We're going to hear more from Sean about it. And I hope GM kind of lays it all out there, because I think a lot of Chevy Bolt owners aren't really satisfied with the amount of information GM has provided so far. And I know that there's like lawyers involved, but I think GM is kind of trying to keep it out of the press. And by by not saying anything, it's just making everybody more tense and more hungry for information about it.
Yeah, and some people are like just willing to just move past it because they see like, oh, GM is moving to the new Alcyon battery system anyway, so this is the last generation. But this is the last generation, but it's still the same batteries in the new Bolt EV, and well, not exactly the same batteries. They keep getting improvement and everything, but this is the same generation of batteries in the new Chevy Bolt EV, the 2021. Is it no 2022? It's called the one that's coming later this year.
Yeah. The new one with the new fascia or whatever, and the new interior is going to be the 2022, and that's coming this year.
And the EUV is also using the same platform too. So
yeah, but to be fair, the battery, the cells, I guess, are a different model than the 2017, 2018, 2019. So theoretically, they should be a little bit safer. None of those have had any fire issues.
But in the recall, do we know like up to when is the cars on the recall, the Bolt EV? Because they were fairly recent, right? The 2020 models were included in the recall.
No, it was the 2019.
Up to 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's weird. It's not all 2019. They switched batteries like mid-cycle. So
right.
Certain 2019, and that's the only ones that have the current fix already ready. And then next month there'll be a fix for the 2017, 2018. So, as Sean said in his post, like, we're not lawyers or, safety experts, but I would not park your Bolt in your garage. Just, leave it outside for a couple weeks until GM has some more clarification. It just seemed, obviously it's been 6-7 fires out of, however many 100,000 they've sold. It's not a very likely occurrence, but it's pretty scary when it does happen.
Yeah. Mercedes-Benz this week, they released 2 new versions of the EQA, their new like small crossover that's coming later this year. Previously, they only had released a front-wheel drive version, which people were like, "Hey, what's that?" Electric cars have been mostly released with rear-wheel drive versions, so this was kind of a new occurrence in the sector. But they did say when they released that an all-wheel drive version will be coming, and now they unveiled 2 of them. So they are called the 300 4MATIC and 350 4MATIC. and that is the new output. So it was 140. The rear-wheel drive was 140 kilowatt. Now these two new version on 168. So that's a very small motor that they are adding in the back, and 215 for the bigger version here, 215 kilowatts. So it's nothing crazy or anything like that, but it does make them a little bit peppier. I mean, the faster you're gonna get though with the 215 kilowatt version, the 350 4MATIC, it's 0 to 100 with 62 mile per hour in 6 seconds. So nothing crazy, but still a little better. And of course, also you get the all-wheel drive, so you better traction depending on the whatever climate you're in. It can be very useful. They did release the German price for it, so we don't have the pricing for the EQA in North America just yet, but we can do some deductions here. And so the new all-wheel drive version start at 63,000 euros in Germany. So if you remove the 19% VAT that they have to include it, and then convert that to USD, it starts at $52,000. So kind of a significant jump over the front wheel drive version. Did I have the price on that? I thought the price was closer to 46, but again, those are prices that I'm speculating from the German prices on it, and also it's before incentive, of course. So yeah, that's I mean, it's not exactly like a Model Y competitor either. It's a smaller car a little bit, so I don't know. It's gonna be a hard sell for some people, I think. Just it's a nice looking car, I'll hide it, but I feel like Mercedes might have done just a bit of a miscalculation by changing that into a crossover. If they would have kept it as a hot hatchback, what it was supposed to be originally when they revealed the concept, I think they would have like a more uh, like unique product in the space right now. I think this is entering an already pretty crowded space in the
Right.
electric crossover segment. It's entering it as a smaller option in it, which can be good for some people. But then when you look at the pricing, again, I'm speculating on the pricing based on I just said that. But I think it's gonna have a hard time in the segment. I don't know.
Also, it's Mercedes. Mercedes always costs a little bit more than
That's
you would
fair.
expect. So
They did change their options a little bit, make it a little simpler. Like instead of having like 100 different options to add in, they just offered like 3 different packages now: Advanced, Advanced Plus, and Premium, between 2,500 euros and 5,500 euros. And also, there's a first edition that's going to come first later this year too. That already is included. Some of the features are included prior to buying those packages, but yeah, I'm still interested in the vehicle. Again, like it's unique and smaller in the segment, but I'm gonna be interested to see how it sits with like the EQA, the Model Y, the Mustang Mach-E. It's different, but all right, we got one more pieces of news, and then we jump into the comment section. I see there's already a bunch of them, but don't hesitate. We're gonna have time for some more. We went through the articles pretty quickly this week. Last thing is Kia giving us some stats on the demand for the EV6 that they unveiled last month. We were very excited about that car, of course, because this looks like a cool concept, but this is the production version of it right there that you're seeing right now. And it's not just the design; it's cool. It's based on the Ioniq 5 platform from Hyundai, which of course is packed with like it checks all the boxes basically to be a great electric car. And now they did release the pricing in Europe, and they basically, when they unveiled it last month, they were only taking show of hands in Europe, which like show of interest, like you'd be like basically, hey, I'm interested in the car, and they said that they got over 30,000 of those, and then now they started taking pre-orders, and they already converted those from those 33,000 prospect, 7,300 reservation. So those are more serious reservation where people have placed a deposit on it, and they released the price of 44,900 euros, which again, it's hard to do a direct translation in the US, what the price is going to be in the US, but it should be around $45,000. But that's for the base version, the 58 kilowatt hour. So it's not the 77 kilowatt hour pack, which are gonna offer you more range, but nonetheless, I think if they can hit that price target of around 45,000 before incentive, I think they're gonna do just fine.
Yeah,
Really,
that's a
really,
great
yeah.
looking sedan for.
Mhm.
I mean, you would call this a sedan, right?
I mean, that has a hatchback for sure,
Yeah.
so it
So I
has a
guess
hatch. But yeah, it's almost.
shooting
I
brake or
get. Yeah,
something.
I think Kia is calling it a crossover, but like everyone is calling everything a crossover when you don't know for sure. So
Right.
I guess you can call it a crossover. But I do like the design a lot. It's I might like it even more than the Ioniq 5, to be honest.
Interesting.
Mm.
Well, there's no doubt that the South Koreans are really bringing the exciting new EVs. I mean, great platform, two different, like both of them, like very iconic looks. Not to be confused with
Mm.
that Ionic, but yeah, I can't wait to get a ride in this one. I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't think it's really tuned for like super high performance. Like Teslas are still going to be faster,
Mm.
but it's got some other cool stuff. Like the inside interior space is pretty cool. The being able to charge like very big items, including your own home, from the battery is pretty cool. So
And the charging is better than Tesla, let's be honest. Like, while the charging is better, the capacity to charge is better. Now, whether you have the charging infrastructure to support that, I think Tesla still has a lead there. But the lead is closing with more network, deploying more stations. But in terms of the capacity, that 10 to 80 at 18 minutes, that's awesome.
yeah, that's where you want to be.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting and the other thing too is the configuration. Like you can have rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive on both the small and bigger battery pack. Another thing that Tesla doesn't do, which I wish they would do. But yeah, I'm excited for those. All right, let's jump into the questions.
All right, Newt A. Oli says, old question, when will the promised 360 cam update come? I think it's referring to like what BMW and Ford, maybe Chevy have as well. It looks like you're looking down on the car when you're like trying to park or whatever. You think that's what he's talking about?
Yeah. He's probably talking about Tesla too. He's talking about
Right.
Tesla getting the 360, which Elon has said that they are working on. A lot of people thought that would come with the holiday update last year. It didn't, and the holiday update last year was very underwhelming. And a lot of people think that Tesla is probably going to release a bigger update, probably matching the release of the Model S, which is going to itself require a lot of new software. So hopefully Tesla is as a haste in the car there, and they're gonna, as they release a new Model S with the new software, maybe it's gonna have a few new features that can also work with other vehicles. And we finally get that 360 bird's eye view.
Yeah, bird's eye view. That's the thing. All right. Hennig Carbstein says, did you get a reply from Mr. Musk? He's talking about you, Fred, when you asked on Twitter not to let your 100 million mile expire?
Yeah, so he's referring here to when I did include that in my post about the revamping of the referral program. I did include that because I was like, I'm surprised that Tesla is spending so much on supercharging miles, because like a lot of people like me, they don't use all their miles that they have for free. And of course, I'm an extreme example. I have 1 million of them, and I could never use them all. I think they expire by 2023. I think there's no way I could use them all. So I was asking Tesla,
Sounds like a challenge. 1 million miles.
Yeah, I was asking Tesla and Elon in particular to let me give them out to people for free, like just that would be cool. But I don't think that's gonna happen now. That if they are worried about 23 million spent in free supercharging last quarter, I don't think they're gonna allow people to do that, which is gonna result, of course, in a lot more people using their free miles.
So I used some of my miles on my way down to Florida. It looks like I'm down to 252,000 miles, and expires in November of 2023.
You're on last leg there. Only 250.
It'll
can only go around the earth a dozen times now.
A few times, yeah. Oh well. All right. Did I skip somebody? Nope. Peter Moraine says, any thoughts on specifically what sold out for the quarter means? I think you addressed this in the comments
Yeah,
earlier.
we went into it. Like, yes, there's still some 4 to 6 week, which would put you still in the quarter. But like I said, Tesla just needs to get a few more of those in case they cannot deliver specifically on some owners for whatever reason. Like I explained earlier, you can go in the beginning of the show, and I go and I go through that, and I go through that in the post too. That it's the production capacity that's sold out. But of course, in the headline, like you have to shorten things out and everything, and people that's what people know sold out to be really.
Right, and a lot of people picked up the post not getting those nuances, so people
Yeah,
are
or
sometimes
people
reading.
just read the headlines and everything, but I'm not responsible for that.
Right. Boating Dave agrees, Seth. Wonder if this increased networking and the use of app car sharing. He's talking about the Tesla app getting out to more people. Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely opportunities here for really cool stuff here. I mean, Tesla was talking about its own music service at some point. It could bring, if it is doing a music service, it could add that to the app. There's all kinds of things they could do.
Gamification. There's been a lot of talk about gamification too. They could put that through the app too. Just getting more people into the ecosystem without having to own a car.
Right. Let's go. Boating Dave says, do you think the price increases could be due to the expectation that Biden will reenact more tax credits for Tesla? We did talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, basically the answer is that's likely, but we don't know for a fact.
Right. The Jose says, exactly. I've been waiting for this credit. Like, why wouldn't we wait? Right.
The only reason you wouldn't wait is that you would assume that it's going to be retroactive, which one of the proposal is definitely retroactive, but it's not a given.
All right. Martin Smith says, I don't think the tax credit will pass as the Democrats are overstretching themselves and will have to compromise a lot.
Well, that has been a theory that what they were proposing was exceptionally high, so that they could negotiate their way down. I mean, they was like talking about a 10-year, $10,000 incentive. Like you don't need $10,000 for 10 year. You probably don't need $10,000 too. You can 5 years, $5,000. I would be perfectly happy with. Like that's enough to get things going until like there's just no reason for anyone to buy an internal combustion engine vehicle.
Right. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, guys, from Antoine B. Congratulations for sharing so interesting news about the EV market every week. Do you have any fresh news about the Gigafactory Berlin?
Well, there's a lot of news about it this week, but I mean, there was a report from a big magazine there that it's going to be delayed by 6 months. But I mean, and that's actually it's basically the report said that Tesla's leadership like told the team that it's okay if it's delayed by 6 months, like because they know that they cannot obtain in any short terms the approval for the entire project to start production, and that's fault of their own too, because they had to do a lot of changes to the proposal. So that's delaying the whole bureaucratic process and everything. A few other news too, though, is apparently they're being investigated for labor laws, and now we just reported earlier today that the big German union IG Metal is getting involved, and they want their hands in the in Gigafactory Berlin, which is gonna probably set up Tesla for another fight against unionization, because they've been very anti-union before. They don't want their employee to unionize. And even in Germany, back when they bought Tesla Grohmann and they were renegotiating their contracts, IG Metal tried to get into Tesla, but it didn't work. Tesla ended up cutting a deal with their employees, giving them more shares and a little bit higher bump in salary, and they ended up not going with IG Metal. So probably Tesla's going to try to repeat that success with Gigafactory Berlin, which is going to be a much bigger deal, because eventually they plan to have like 10,000 people working there. I don't know how many people are Tesla Grohmann, but it's definitely not in that range.
All right. Boating Dave's back. That memo, as you discussed like 6 weeks ago, was simply legalese and Tesla being very careful about FSD. This time, the DMV is clarifying that Tesla doesn't know when it'll achieve FSD.
Yeah, no one really knows. I mean, and that guy CJ Moore was, if the DMV was accurate in the representation of what he said, he's right. I mean, Elon is basing that prediction on what they can do right now and the rate they're improving. And he said he gives them an idea. I thought the most interesting thing in the whole memo was he said that they need to get to 1 to 2 million miles between driver intervention as a goal to enable higher level of automation. And the higher level automation really just shift the responsibility to Tesla system instead of the driver under different conditions. And So now we kind of have a goal on where Tesla needs to be in terms of safety in order to start shifting that responsibility. And the next step would be Tesla to share those statistics now. So forget about the whole like safety report every quarter that not really that helpful, and start sharing. Maybe not now. I get it why they wouldn't do it now necessarily, but why not with the new update, the V9 update, and then maybe probably the wider release. Once they get the wider release, more people. Now you have thousands of people having FSD beta with the V9 version. I think it would be very good for Tesla to share what they're currently achieving in terms of miles per driver, driver intervention, number of miles between driver intervention, and every month keep updating us on that. And we're gonna have a way better idea of when they can actually release level 3, level 4, or even, I think you're even talking about going from level 2 to level 5 directly. So, but if we see getting them closer to that million or 2 million, or actually, they should really clarify that goal if it's 1 or 2 million, because there's a big difference between 1 and 2 million miles between driver interaction.
Quite
But
big.
again, that was a summary of the DMV's meeting with them, so maybe he said something a little bit more clear. But yeah, very, very interesting. I thought that was very interesting. But Tesla needs to be more transparent about all that stuff.
All right, the Jose's back. 1 in 5 EV owners switching back to gas after encountering the hassles of charging. Recent study by UC Davis.
We discussed that last week.
Yeah, we covered that last week. I think maybe Business Insider might be late on this one, but I think it came down to like people in apartments with Fiat 500Es were like, this is not the experience we want.
Yeah.
So
it was none access to level 2 at home. Women, for some reason, are changing back to gas at higher rate than men, and the specific car you buy, which is the 500E, was the problem.
All right. And Zapod Beeblebox is kind of saying the same thing. If you can't charge where you park, you're missing the main advantage of owning an EV. Victor Seal says, I went into my local Hyundai garage to change winter summer tires and saw an old battery pack from Kona that they had replaced. It was the second one they had replaced. So the Kona, so LG batteries in the Kona and Niro are being kind of, I think they're actually replacing those.
Because the same issue as the Bolt, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's both companies say it's not the same, but it's kind of the same. So I guess that's happening. Both companies are being really tight-lipped about it. Their lawyers are kind of running the show. It's really hard to get any good information about it, which is frustrating because we know our readers are interested. Victor Seal says they're changing them. First bought, first changed. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Boating Dave back a little off topic, but can you comment on your article about horizontal versus vertical wind farm blades? Seems that for some places vertical looks great. I agree. Michelle wrote about that. Vertical wind farms, they do look a lot better, and obviously, you can put them in much smaller spaces. I don't think that they're more efficient in all circumstances, but in the circumstances that we talked about in the article, they were definitely more efficient. So it's good to have options here, I guess. Peter Moraine, what do you guys think of the actual odds are that VW will catch up to Tesla in 2025?
So depending on what you mean by catch up, I assume you mean volume. You know what? It's not impossible because VW is obviously completely willing to invest in changing their current capacity of production capacity of gas powered cars to electric. I mean, the Zyco plant, they did that back in 2018. they've done plenty of new factories, and not new factories. They're willing to get their assets, which currently produce revenue and profit for them, and switch them to electric. So that's the biggest indicator that they are all in on the electrification. And MEB platform's been doing well too. I think it's almost certain they're going to catch up to Tesla if you also add the deals they have with other automakers like Ford and everything like that to use the MEB platform, because that gives them a big edge. Just the MEB is like becoming a standard almost. So yeah, I think they're going to deliver a lot. My two leaders are definitely Tesla and Volkswagen in terms of volume production of electric vehicles.
Yep. And yeah, as you mentioned, like it's going to be a different couple different markets. Garth Woodworth says millions of miles between interventions to prove FSD ? Isn't the obvious metric miles between crashes?
I mean, you would assume that they go in and end really, but yeah, I think driver intervention first like is the main one, and then if you can get there, because like if you're crashing, if you're not even able to drive and the car is always telling you, hey, you have to help me out here, like which happens right now on autopilot. Like if you're driving on autopilot right now and there's some kind of fork in the road or something, and the car will like beep at you and like, hey, grab it, I don't know what we're doing here. You cannot have that to start with, even before, like because then what's happening is that there's no crash, you're preventing that crash. But you're preventing it by having a driver intervention. So I think Tesla is right to look at driver intervention and then make sure that, of course, at the same time they need to make sure that it's safe. But ultimately, yes, the crashes, the no crashes per mile is going to be a significant one too.
All right. Dan Sullivan says bird's eye view on the Bolt is really useful. Could prevent wheels rim rash on Teslas. I actually have a funny story about that. A couple years ago, my wife accidentally hit the curb, and I was like, oh, like the new Model 3. And then like maybe even the same day I did the same thing, and it's like idiotic. And they really show up on the the darker rims of the Model 3. So yeah, obviously that would be nice to have. Although
I never do wheel rash just because I park like 2 or 3 feet from the curb. I'm like, how far can I park from the curb where I don't get a ticket? And I also do not risk in my left side of the car.
Yeah.
But I'm still far from it.
All right. Are we still expecting the call that Tesla is supposed to have at some point to discuss new features of the Model S?
No, not really. I mean, Elon said like next week, and that was 2 months ago. But I mean, maybe when they start deliveries, that could make sense. But Tesla is weird sometimes when they do like new launches or something like that.
It
like
is.
It's not, like they will do a few like actual events and that, but when it's not big enough, or I would say that the new Model S is big enough, but of a thing to have a launch for, but no, apparently not.
Yeah, I'd kind of weird when Elon says something's going to happen and it just doesn't happen, and everybody's like, "No, forgiven." Like, no accountability. All right, Eric Williams. How many years, miles does a Tesla Model 3Y battery pack last for models being delivered presently?
I mean, we don't know. That's the whole thing.
That's the problem.
Ask us in 10 years. No, but seriously, Elon has been saying that they are supposed to last like 300 to 500 miles, but 500,000 miles, yeah. I should check again because I know some Model 3, Model Y that are pretty high mileage. But you're seeing the one that are being delivered right now, so there's always some battery improvement. I mean, I think Tesla is on pack version 8 of the Model 3, Model Y, so it changes a lot. And of course, we're supposed to have like the 1 million mile battery by now. So I really don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. All right, Dan Sullivan, thanks for the Bolt fire report today. That was really insightful. Demonstrates significant risk, even with the car not plugged in and not fully charged. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something else I kept meaning to have Sean write in there is like, you have OnStar, you have like a computer system in there that measures heat. Like you could have a like if heat is, whatever fire runaway is, if the heat is overheating, call OnStar and say, hey, this Bolt at this location, which they have GPS, and the OnStar knows it anyway. They have the ability to do all this stuff, and they didn't, and they should have. And like, that the Bolt should be calling the fire department, not some guy who smells smoke.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because by then, by the time you can actually detect it, it's probably like at least a few minutes before the pack is actually in trouble. Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So
3 minutes can be crucial.
Yeah,
and I'm garage and things.
I'm sure they're afraid of some false positives, or like somebody takes it to Arizona or something. It gets too hot, but like, these are the things you need to figure out. You have this technology, like you should have some smart people there, like make some calls. All right. Garth Woodworth, if miles between crashes is say 15 times better than humans, what regulator will say, no, not good enough?
I mean, hopefully not.
Yeah, we'll see. Any news about lower price China EV variants becoming available in the US? Other thoughts from recent China Auto Show? Apologies if covered on the website. Been busy, a little behind. Dan, come on. Or no, Dave. You got to get to the site. We've seen a BYD dealership in Los Angeles, so we know that they're coming. NIO actually started selling in Norway. We thought they were going to come to the US first, but I think our government climate here wasn't as conducive as Norway is. What else? Xpeng.
Xpeng went when the NIO is basically following Xpeng. Xpeng went to Norway first too. I think that's gonna make it more difficult now, especially if they move forward with Biden's plan. Like they said that the new incentive is only going to be for American-made electric vehicles. I think it's gonna discourage a lot of Chinese automakers to bring their cars to the U.S. unless they want to build them in the U.S. too. But that's kind of counterintuitive to what Dave is talking about, which is our lower priced EV. What was that one? The Candy one.
I was just going to mention Candy. Yeah. They're actually selling those.
Yeah, in Texas, I think.
It's
Texas and California, I think.
It reminds me of the Yugo. The long time ago, there was a Yugoslavian car that was quite inexpensive. These things are like what, $8,000 or something crazy after incentives. All right, Eric Perkins. What if I want to drive more aggressively for a couple minutes in an area? The car is always overly cautious.
I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Yeah, we need a little bit more context. Just an observation, in an ICE, you creep with a foot on the brake. In EVs, your foot is on the accelerator. If a new EV driver has a senior moment, which I believe is ageism, you could have unintended acceleration.
I mean that has obviously been a problem. I think you're right. We've seen that, and also you combine that problem with the fact that electric vehicles are also a little bit more peppier. Like you press an accelerator and you get a lot more torque, a little faster, and that the combination of those two has been a problem. But it's a problem that, like it's a problem that's not really a problem. It's a user error at the end of the day. And yes, you can try to implement things that can solve that. And I mean, there is fake creeps in electric vehicles. Like I think most electric vehicles have fake creep right now. So if you're a new electric vehicle owner, maybe start using that, but you should phase it out because obviously it's a better way to drive. Like one pedal driving is awesome. It is a big improvement, and the only way to get used to it is to use it and just be careful when you use it. I don't know what else to say about that. But that's it, everyone, for the show. And thanks a lot, everyone, for listening and watching. If you're watching on YouTube right now, subscribe. You guys, I just checked the statistic today, and 86% of you watching right now are not subscribed. That's unacceptable, people. Click that subscribe button right now, please and thank you. If you're on your podcast app, you can also subscribe there, and you're going to download the next episode when it comes out, which is usually Friday night, Saturday, because we record this thing live on every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And you can check back next week. We're going to be there too. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.